everybody. Welcome back to another episode of More Than a Title, episode 168, y'all. I'm your host, as usual, Jarrett, Chief Revenue Officer at Outside the Box Digital. And you know I got my brother, my brethren, your favorite CEO, Chadeo. What's good, baby?
We in the I'm alive, baby. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we always start the show G&T, grateful and thankful. And we transparent on this show, so we talk about grateful and thankful. The first thing is the grateful part. Grateful to wake up another day.
Absolutely.
To talk to the people we love and we cherish, and pour into the people that we're endearing and we hold dear to our hearts and things of that nature. And thankful for all the supporters, everybody that has helped us, talked to us, mentored us, financially, sponsored us, anything that you have done to help this podcast move forward and to help us, do what we need to do. We appreciate you guys. But let me tell you something. We're gonna keep it 100. This is an extra special grateful for me because Thanksgiving Day, instead of eating turkey, instead of with the yams and the collard greens, your boy was in the hospital. Hold on. Because we transparent, I still got my hospital wrist bracelet right here. Because we transparent on this show. Boy was in the hospital. I'm all right though. You know what I'm saying? I'm all right though. But, we had a little scare.
wait to real talk, audience. I'm going to get it. Wait to real talk. I'm going to get it.
We had a little scare. But you know what? Again, right? I'm here, right? I'm thankful for it. My brother was there. He came to the hospital. He cursed me out afterwards. I ain't going to lie to you, right? We keep it transparent. That's why y'all love us. He said, dog, today, I love you. I'm glad you good. But tomorrow, we gonna have a whole different conversation.
It's a different tone tomorrow. Maggie took me away from the turkey. It was a false alarm.
Timing is everything. Timing is everything.
Me out. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, we preach it because we live it, and we're gonna show you every aspect of this thing. G&T, I'm here, Jarrett's here, Maggie's here, grateful and thankful. Another episode of More Than a Title. We here, baby.
We here, baby. And before we introduce our good friend of the show, we're going to I can feel this is going to be an epic because it's classic right here. Shout out to our distribution partners, the Live Podcast Network, the first women-owned, black-owned podcast network in the world, and the largest black-owned network in the world. So if you want more content from content creators like More Than a Title, make sure you pull out your phone, scan the QR code, download the app. Half of your subscription goes to the content creator of your choice, y'all. So we don't talk, we walk it, and we rocking with it live. Shout out to Angel and the entire team, y'all.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, man, we let it team.
I mean that.
With that, see.
Let's start the show.
He's on. He's ready to pod, Maggie. I love it.
It's clear.
I love he's ready to pod. But for y'all listening, as always, first-time listeners, More Than a Title is a show that dives into the personal lives of successful individuals like this young lady we about to introduce right now, and really just tell you the real stories, man, because it's not just a linear thing. Success is not linear. You don't just go up. It's a lot of dips. It's a lot of roller coasters. It's a lot of ups and downs, and we're going to talk about it all today. But this lady right here is the Chief Marketing Officer at ABC Fitness. With over 20 years of experience as a modern marketer and transformative leader, she's no stranger to driving exceptional results for global brands. She's held influential roles at companies like Hootsuite, Cision, TrueBlue, where she mastered the art of science and marketing. Her impact doesn't stop at the corporate level, though. She's a dedicated board member and currently serves on a chair for SafePlace International, as well as boards like organizations like UK-based Clu and SimonData. And also, she was a part of Grindr's historic journey as it went public in 2022. She's also a great friend of ours. I've worked with her. I'm glad to call her family. She was episode 3 of More Than a Title. She was part of our journey early, and we are honored to bring her back. Let's introduce our friend Maggie Lower, CMO at ABC Fitness. Maggie. We love you, baby. You know we love
Maggie.
We love you.
Yes.
Before we get started, I'm saying ABC Fitness, y'all looking for models? I'm flexible.
Always. Influencers. Not just models, influencers.
Yeah, you see the shoulders and shouldering.
Oh, I'm aware. Why do you think I took the invitation? I mean, other than Jarrett, this is a two method.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's start from the top, Maggie. First of all, because the first time we had you on, we focused a lot on marketing, and it went by so quick. It was like, damn, it went super quick. But I want the people to really get to know you, the person we know. So, Maggie, let's tell us some early influences growing up, and tell us, then what's transition, how you got to the industry. What are some early influences?
Probably one of the most early influences that I had was athletics, right? I mean, as I was growing up, so I grew up, back when the Earth's crust was cooling in the 70s and 80s, when you didn't have to pick a sport when you were 18 months old. So I got to play volleyball, basketball, softball. I played, all throughout my youth on traveling teams. And I think, sports taught me a lot about life, right? Just being able to figure out how to work on teams, figuring out that it's okay to be competitive, that it's okay to want to win, but also navigating loss, right? And what you can learn from failure. So I would say that's a really important part of my story. And it was also something that I did with my dad, right? I can remember sitting in the living room with my brother. My parents both commuted. I lived in suburban Chicago the first part of my life. We would sit in the front room, and we had this big picture window, and my dad could barely get through the door, barely get his suit jacket off. And he was an accountant, and we would go out in the back and throw fly balls and, play sports. And it was always some kind of sport, didn't matter what it was. And everybody was equivalent. Everybody was equal. And so I grew up in an environment of feeling like, sport's important, competition's important, fun's important. And, this is what you do when it doesn't go your way. And I think, that I love working with athletes. I think that's part of what's making the work that I'm doing at ABC so much fun. I work with a lot of, competitive athletes or former competitive athletes. I would say from a marketing perspective, I think a lot of what I've learned from the women in my family. I have a incredible matriarch on my mom's side. She was a third grade school teacher who then became, a human rights advocate for the aging in Iowa when she retired. That's how she spent her retirement, was getting meals to people that couldn't get to those meals on their own, and won awards for that work. And it's interesting because a lot of the women and some of the men in our family at my generation, all of us are involved in social justice in some way. And I don't think we realized it until a few years ago. We all started comparing notes and realized, we actually all do something other than our day job. It's really interesting. And for some of us, our day job is also that. And so when I think about my work, the best experiences that I've had professionally is where the things that I'm passionate about and the things that I do for a living can come together, and you can kind of merge your craft with advocacy that you don't have to choose. And, I did that at Hootsuite, did that at Cision, did that at TrueBlue. And I think that's when some of the best and most exciting marketing happens, is when you're bringing your whole self into work and you're really humanizing the experience. And I think for B2B marketing, can't give ourselves a pass just because it's B2B. You still have to be really human-centric and human-focused.
Oh, wait, at the same time, you got a double. We hit at this.
We in sync, cuzzo. We in sync, but we can't get better than this. Maggie, I just want to say something. You got taught a very early lesson that you probably didn't realize, because you were looking at your parents from a child's eyes to a parent. Mm-hmm. They taught you selflessness, the art of giving and pouring into other people before you even knew what it was, right? Yeah. And like you said, you didn't even realize, your family now realize, holy shit, we are all doing this. I think that is absolutely phenomenal, because we cannot move forward as a culture. And when I say a culture, I mean the human race culture of the human race. We can't move forward if everybody's always taking from the culture and nobody's giving to the culture. So I think that your mom doing that was phenomenal. And I applaud her for doing that. And I applaud your father for going to work and doing what he needed to do to provide for your family, but also recognizing that my daughter needs my time. Yeah. And for me to go out and do, even though I'm tired, I might be stressed, whatever, for me to go out with her and give her that time that she needs so she knows daddy will always make time for his daughter. I applaud.
Major.
Yeah.
Major.
Yeah, no, and I think both my parents did it in different ways. It's interesting, right? Because my mom had more of a corporate route. And, as I got older, it was interesting because, my dad was such just a central figure in my entire adolescence and throughout my life. And then as I got older and started to understand what my mom did more fully, right, it almost shifted a bit, right? And so I've had the benefit of these two people that bring really different things to the table, but so complementary. And they're both, it's interesting because you haven't met my parents, but they're incredibly kind. They're incredibly kind people, and they are selfless. I mean, if anything, I've probably had to learn to prioritize putting on my own oxygen mask at times, right? And making sure that you're also balancing the selflessness with making sure you're taking care of yourself so that you can go out and do the good work. But yeah, I think it's an important point.
A tough balance.
It is
hard. You get how do you say no? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, don't you think that? I mean, I think you have to look at it in segments, right? Like, I don't think anybody gets this right over the full course of a day. Sometimes you only get it right over the course of an hour or the course of, a few hours, or, maybe you don't get it right for a few days and then you get it right for the next few days. But I think it's, having that grace for yourself to say, what's the time period over which I can handle it, right? And when I can get that work-life integration, because balance is a joke. Balance is it's a myth. It doesn't really work. I think it's about integration and what kind of integration works for you.
Yeah.
Shit, everything's integrated right now. Everything.
Right?
It's just flowing. Everything is just tough.
It's fulfillment though, cuz when I talk about the work that we do, Maggie, when you came on episode 3, I don't know if we were saying this, but we have a motto: impact over metrics. It's the fulfillment that we get. And when you are fulfilled with what you're doing and your life's purpose, you don't get hungry, you don't get tired, you don't get weary, because you are fulfilled. It somehow takes away all of these things for you and it just fills you, right? And that's what me and Cuzzo do all the time, right? This is why we've turned it. What?
No, I didn't like the way it just feels you. I didn't like
the tone.
Yeah, I didn't like your tone. I hated it. YouTube is gonna get you. Yeah, I hated that. Sorry.
It's all good. So, but you know what I'm saying, Maggie? Like we do it a lot. Like a lot of the times, me and Cuzzo will have conversations about what you just said. Like, we got to stop. We got to focus on this and focus on that.
Yeah.
Because we're focusing on pouring into everybody else and doing so many things for everybody else. But I tell him, and he tells me, and we have these conversations, and we go back and forth, and we go, yeah, but is this not what we're here for? So like you said, balance is almost non-existent, because some days, we'll say, fuck it, we're not doing this, we're going to concentrate on this. And then other days we're going to be like, yeah, but we got to concentrate on that. Yep. You know what I mean? So it catch us on a good day, we're going this way. Catch us on the other day, we going that way.
And they're both good. They're both good days, just for different reasons.
Yeah. Right.
That good day can look like a lot of different things. It doesn't have to look like one, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes your bad days, your shitty days, are the ones you learn the most from.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That just doesn't get less funny. I'm just gonna get a giggle every time you do it, and it doesn't get less funny. And you guys do it when we're in person too. And I don't know, it's so great. Like, the sound effects actually happen if you're with them in person too. For anyone out there watching, hang out with them live. They're like, they have these walking flashes.
Hey, so for all our audio only listeners, for all our audio only listeners, we've hung out with Maggie on several occasions. Okay, several occasions, and just understand that you have yet to see the energy explode. She's warming up right now, but by the end of the show, you're going to see what we're like in person, because we're going to get crazy on this show, because Maggie is just phenomenal. There's no other word I can put to that. That's why we brought her back on this episode, because I was like, I'll be damned if Cuzzo gonna have the only interview with Maggie and I'm not gonna be a part of it. I need PC. Got to bring Maggie back. Yeah.
And I'm here. Sequel.
Yeah, see?
I'm back. Back, take 2.
But I don't know if I ever told you the story, Cuzzo, but did I ever tell you how first of all, I met Maggie when I was at Hootsuite. I don't know.
No, let me hear it.
Right? So first time we had like a global town hall meeting, right? So we talked about rebranding Hootsuite, and the C-suite there, and you got this one, and then Maggie pops on the screen. Boop. She's like, yeah. So the owl, it needs to work for itself. We're gonna change this. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna change it. I don't like this. Like the way you were saying that, so elegant. It's what everybody knew about the brand. Like, it was getting stale. We need to refresh. We need to regroup. We need to think of some new, fresh ideas. Maggie had those, and like from a marketer perspective, because I'm doing the personal brand thing, I'm like, oh no, how do I get on board? I actually slacked her while she was talking. Hit her on the
right.
I was like, hey, Maggie, I love what you're saying. Oh my God, when you said this, I fell out. And then we became close. And then we got her on the show. Instantly, she's like, absolutely. So, but I just want to tell people listening, like, when you have leadership like that, somebody that you could do, y'all know what it did for me. like for me, reaching out to the CMO at the time, a lot of people don't know how to like approach leadership.
Yeah.
And it was just being yourself. Like something connected with me. I said something. I'm knowing a whole totally different department. I'm in sales. But I'm like, I might know something. I might be able to help you guys out. If you need me, I'm here. And we just developed the relationship, and it helped immensely. And it just, like I said, grew my confidence. After that, I asked Tom. I was like, Tom, can you get on the show? Maggie said yes. How can you say no, Tom?
But that's right. That's right. And I think that, I think often people think there's a formula for engagement, and the only formula for engagement is being yourself, right? I mean, unless yourself is a really uncompelling person. But I think when you are yourself, that's compelling, right? And I think people can tell when you're coming at something with an agenda. I mean, we've talked about this before at length, Jarrett, but this whole idea of networking, it's just so broken, right? That everything that you do has to be about some sort of transaction, that everything has to have a different outcome. I think if somebody is interesting and intriguing to you, you stay in touch with them. It doesn't matter whether they are ever going to get anything from you or you're ever going to get anything from them. And, I think if people are transactional in that way, then that's probably not going to be a connection that's going to, subsist. It's not going to be one that's going to live on. And I think that that's really important. And there are a lot of different ways to do that. And it can be hard at times, but finding, what do they call it? Like the pebbling now on social, where you send something just to let somebody know that you're thinking of them. I think there's lots of different ways to do that in life. That, everything doesn't have to be about a dinner or going in for a drink or a walk or a coffee. Sometimes it can just be a text on your birthday. Sometimes it can just be, hey, how are you doing? And I think those connections matter too. And that's the only way you can have authentic, sort of meaningful relationships with people at scale. Like you and I don't talk all the time, but when we do, we just get right into it because that rapport has already been built.
Absolutely. It's major. It's
you can feel the energy.
Yeah.
Maggie.
Yeah.
The energy that people give off, right?
Absolutely.
When I first met you, you gave off such a clean, just welcoming energy that, unless I'm an absolute jerk, right? Because when you give off a certain type of energy, for somebody not to like you or like not want to get to know you, you'd have to like be an absolute like jackass. Like I just got to call it what it is, right? Because it's like, how could you not like me? Like I'm a sweetheart. Like I'm a ball of fun. And when I met you, you didn't know me, right? You knew Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
I met you at LinkedIn. We met at LinkedIn.
That's right.
And you embrace me and automatically, like, you don't even know you're coming to my party. You don't even know that yet. Jarrett didn't even tell you, but you're coming to my party. So get the lemon pepper steppers ready because you're coming. Like, you understand what I'm doing? So when somebody approaches you like that and with that just welcoming, general love and that energy, how could you not embrace that, right? That's not transactional. That's this human being shit, right? Like, hey, man, this is my energy. This is who I am. So, I think certain people just need to tap back into being a human being.
Agreed.
Let's start leading with love. Let's start leading with just get to know somebody, man. Just be yourself. You don't have to be friends with everybody. You're not going to connect at different levels with everybody, and that's fine. Yeah. But just be yourself, right? And what is meant to happen will be.
Right.
That's it. People don't understand how many relationships we have. You know why, Maggie? Our relationship, we don't ask for anything, and we just check in. We just being us, and something's gonna happen. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm still glad I know you. I'm still glad you took an hour and a half out your day, come on the show and tell us your story. You didn't have to. You didn't have to, right? Like, so all of that stuff, just stop being transactional. Like, we don't ever think about, we're gonna have this person on the show because of this and that. Like, it just happens.
No, and it's I know it was gonna be fun. I mean, let's be honest. I knew it was going to be fun. I'm never with you two for more than 3.5 seconds where I'm not laughing,
When Jarrett told me your event, I said, we're there.
Do you guys remember when you walked into that event? Do you remember? Because it was one of my favorite moments of the event. Like the two walked in, it was like the energy level of the entire Lower East Side.
Let's go.
Up to like a 12.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
Around and I knew it was you. Like I turned, I'm like, they're here. Visceral. It was amazing.
Absolutely.
It was amazing. I remember it clearly. I have a clear picture in my head of the moment the two of you walked in.
Yeah.
So great. You're like wedding crashers,
We do that for all parties, all corporate events.
Yep.
So we listen, before Cuzzo do it, because I'm gonna throw him the lab because Cuzzo like to do it. Before Cuzzo do it, if you need the energy raised at your event,
We got to pay some bills. We'll be right back.
Make sure you scan the QR code. I can't
There you go, scan the QR code.
can't even find the QR, but there it goes. Make sure if you want to talk about how to build relationships, make sure you scan the QR code. Go to otbdigital.com. How to build relationships and revenue is how we've met people like Maggie, how to go on LinkedIn, how the algorithm works, how to create good content, and how to be yourself and still drive business. Or you might just want a mug for grandpa or somebody. The mugs are real good too. Keep your coffee hot for 2 hours. Don't play with us.
Or dad hats.
Or
you know, if you some of y'all ain't got this good hair, you know what I'm saying? Y'all might need a dad hat. It is what it is, man. Don't blame me. Blame the genetics, baby. Russia's still growing.
He's just speaking truth. He's just speaking truth.
I'm not.
That's all I'm talking about.
I do. We talked about it off camera too, but I do want to know, like, when we get into more personal stuff too. But like, I'm gonna talk about the transition.
Yeah.
Being like transition from B2B to B2C, right? Like from when we met at Hootsuite selling software, it's a completely different customer, it's a completely different buying cycle. How has that changed? And like, what are some approaches, or as you come to ABC Fitness, what's like the top approach that you're looking at?
Well, I think whenever you're in a SaaS company or software as a service, there's things that travel, right? There are things that are important no matter what kind of tech you're selling. And there are things sort of from a financial metrics perspective and Rule of 40 and all of that, like that goes and that travels from one place to the next. I think it's really about what's the higher order. I think too many people excuse themselves from having sort of a mission-driven talk track. That, you have to find a way for people to connect with what you do. And listen, there are areas of tech where that's really hard to do, right? If I was selling, I don't even want to name an industry or I'll get, hate posts. There's probably stuff that, is going to be hard to sell a human story. But I think from a marketing perspective, when the teams that I've worked with, when we've done the best work together, it's when we're talking about the humanity behind the product. We're talking about the outcomes and how we're solving problems for customers. It's not about the solution in and of itself. It's what are you driving? What are you driving in society? And, part of the reason that I think from a B2B perspective, that it's really important to constantly be looking outside of category and constantly be looking at B2C is because we should all be borrowing ideas from each other. And, B2C has real big budgets that B2B doesn't often get access to. And so if we can draft some ideas and we can, collaborate across sort of the B2B, B2B2C, B2C sort of continuum, then I think everything gets better because you know what? Consumers don't think in terms of B2B and B2C anymore. They don't. They treat brands as personalities, and it doesn't matter if you're at a large corporate brand. You're a small company, like that's just not the way. Consumers want to work with people they want to have a beer with, right? They want to work with brands that they want to support, and so I think that standard's there, and B2B has to continue to speed to catch up. And I think that's what's exciting actually about the industry and fun about the industry is finding those ways. Like when we were at Hootsuite, we focused a lot on the things that were hard to talk about. Social media can contribute to diminished mental health outcomes. So we put a lot of emphasis in partnership with the CHRO there around, wellness and mental health. And I think, there are all these good things that can get driven in social, like movements, moving, humanity forward, moving culture forward. There's some other things that come with it too, which we all know, right? But I think, there's an interesting parallel to that in fitness, which is, I was telling Jarrett before we started, Chadeo, before you got here, that one of the things that's really important to me that is what excites me, but it's also what keeps me up at night about fitness is that we won't get to the people that need us the most, the fastest, right? That fitness can't continue to be for fit, wealthy people that, already have all of the support that they need, that it really needs to be a wellness conversation and that there's room for everybody to be successful. Like the total addressable market in this space is massive, but we have to think about not just the food you're putting into your body, but how are you sleeping? Are you rotating sort of cardio with weights? Are you more of a yoga person? Are you a Pilates person? Are you a goat yoga person? Whatever those things are, there are so many different ways to be fit, but how are we getting to people that have felt excluded? How are we?
Screaming baby.
You can't make me snort on camera, you guys. We talked about this.
Screaming baby.
Screaming babies.
You made a point that I want to you made a very valid point that I want to touch up on as far as like reaching people that are almost like unreachable, right?
Mhm.
And you also made a point about people don't want to support a brand that they feel disconnected from. You see, in this day and age, this is the more accountability stage. Accountability. It's not about, we are way more evolved than just spending money now. As a people, we are cognizant of what is the message that you're putting. I'll give you a big example. 80-90% of my closet used to be H&M. I loved H&M clothes. You know, I'm a fit guy. They make slim clothes, Euro cuts. I love them. Great prices, great clothing. They came out with that ad with the black kid, the white kid, the biggest monkey in the. I don't even remember the last time I bought something from H&M, and that probably was 6 years ago. You understand? I'm not a big label person. But I do have Gucci and Louis Vuitton and things but I don't go out and just buy that to wear it. And look at me, I wear a bunch of labels. When Gucci did that blackface ad and things of that nature, God knows the last time I bought Gucci. We have to start holding these companies accountable because it's not the company. The company is a name on a paper. It is an EIN number registered with whatever state, blah, blah, blah. It is the people behind that company making these conscious decisions on this is the message we want to send to the people.
That's right.
So if you're a person and the message you want to send to me is you don't respect my culture, then I can't respect your brand and support you with my dollar. And we have to start holding these companies accountable. And I think that's what you're starting to see more and more and more often happen, where now a lot of these companies, when they know they made a mistake, when that bottom line is being affected, they're coming out and apologizing and all that, but it's too late now because we're not buying the bullshit. We're saying this had to go through how many levels of approval? This didn't go through one level of approval. This went through 5 levels of approval.
Right.
I gotta play devil's advocate though, bro. Like, yes, on certain brands, yes, right? Certain brands, yes. But when you look at something like Walmart, right? They're rolling back their DEI, right? Right now, people are also in tough times. So now you think we all gonna not get that $2 rice or this, you know what I mean? That coffee for $1 now because of something like that. People are gonna do what they gotta do to save $1 right now, bro. Certain brands, yes, luxury.
I understand that. I can dig with you.
Yeah, but it's hard to do that across the board, is what I'm saying.
Well, I think that it's one of the things though is I think it takes years and years to build trust with your customer.
Absolutely.
It takes a moment to lose it, right? And if you're not thinking in those terms, you're making $1 million decisions really capriciously. Because if you're going to do something that just is going to affect a commercial outcome, I mean, all you have to look at the buying behavior that comes out every year on Gen Z and these people that
correct,
right? They don't care. They will cancel you. They will quit. They will quit you. You know, and it doesn't take much. If they don't feel values aligned, they're going to go in a different direction. And you know, I think wherever you are in the political spectrum, we're going to see such a magnification of that now. It's going to become even more hyper politicized. It's going to become even more important that people feel like, you know, again, wherever you are on the continuum, the way that you buy is one way that you demonstrate your values. And I think you're going to see from a commercial perspective, more and more people making value-based buying decisions because they're feeling like a lot of their protections and a lot of what they were feeling good about is probably slipping away a little bit, but still have your pink dollar, you still have your black dollar, you still we all still get to vote with our wallets. And I think brands that don't acknowledge that and take a really serious look at that over the next few years, they're going to be the biggest losers in all of this.
Method.
Well, how do you
go? So you okay? My fault.
No. Wow.
No. Because you know we be on the same type of thing.
Oh no, I was going to ask, but like now, like coming from a brand perspective, you're a big brand. You're thinking about all these things, right? It takes all this time to build trust. What are some things that brands can do to build trust without feeling like they're pandering to certain communities? I think on certain segments.
I mean, listen, I think people are going to make mistakes. I don't think it's about being mistake free because I think if you're constantly worried about making mistakes, you're not going to take risks, right? And then you're not going to have an experimentation culture or a testing culture. And you know, failures are just pieces of information. They're just pieces of information.
Method.
So I feel like the things that brands can do is really support a culture of experimentation, a culture of testing. So have that ethos inside of your company, because the brands that don't get forgiven when they make missteps, you know, at that top of the funnel sort of PR thing, it's the ones that have been really quiet and then they come out with some big message and then you find out they're actually not doing any of those things. But if you've come out and you've been really consistent about what your values are and how those are going to present, and something happens that's a misstep, you're going to find more forgiveness. So first, own it right away. Like, that's important. Own it right away. But you can't just show up every once in a while to take advantage of some sort of cultural moment. And then when you get it wrong, expect that people are going to say that's okay. You have to be consistent.
Yeah, but can we talk common sense for a second, Maggie?
Yeah, sure.
Can we talk common sense for a second?
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem when people straddle the fence. Don't straddle the fence on me. Don't tell me you got all these fucking degrees and you went to school and you super smart and you understand blah, blah, blah. You're a part of a $1 billion agency that hires focus groups and test groups that go out and do all of this shit. You do all of this research before you send this message out. And then you send this message out.
And there's a proof.
Knowing that this message is some bullshit. And then you get the backlash from it. And then you want to fucking backtrack and be like, I apologize. That's bullshit. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To sell an orange hoodie with a design is very simple. Put a kid in an orange hoodie with a design, have a model, sell the design. To deliberately put a black kid in a fucking hoodie with the hoodie that says biggest monkey in the jungle. Are you fucking kidding me? What moron thought that was going to play well in any black and brown fucking culture? And then
I don't know.
You didn't do it for the white kid. So for the white kid, if you'd have said something witty or some stupid shit to match that, then it would have been equal. But of course, for the white kid, you put him in a green hoodie and it was just some bullshit tag. That is fucking deliberate. And we have to hold companies accountable when they run their mouth and they show we don't want you to wear our brand. Fine, because we're one of the biggest spenders of money anyway. We'll cancel your fucking ass and go support another brand. And when we put you out of business, no matter how much money you made because you got shareholders and all of that, you're a failure because at the end of the day, you made a fucking decision that bankrupted your company. And that's the way we need to hold them accountable. Putting out an orange t-shirt with a logo is one thing. Deliberately making a statement against any community.
Yeah.
Black, brown, gay, it doesn't matter. That is very specific. It took somebody to write that out, craft that design. That shit took effort. We have to start holding people accountable. That wasn't a by mistake fucking thing.
Is that?
No, I mean, I think there, marginalization had to have been somewhere.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean,
but what do they usually say about like you're not doing good unless somebody's talking about you, and that's a good, like, as far as a marketing perspective.
Yeah, but that's not like that.
I get it. I think it's nasty, right? But guess what? They're still a publicly shared company. They're still making sales. They're still doing something. I'm just saying it sucks. But that's like guerrilla marketing.
Or maybe those are the dollars they were going after, which also communicates something, right?
That's what I'm trying to say. And it's still got a customer, and it's still got.
I'm not saying it's right.
I'm not saying it's right either. I hate it.
Could have been. Who knows? Who knows?
They're making these kind of. You can't hold a company on the same stand. Let's take us for example. More Than the Title. We've been in business 2 years. We're at a certain level. We're talking about a Fortune 500 company, NASDAQ. We're talking about a company in the elite 1% of luxury fashion, blah, blah, blah. $1 billion company, $1 billion.
Yeah.
You can't hold them to the same standards that you would hold the lower company, because you can't say, well, they're still going to make sales because they're $1 billion company. They built up, they've been in business so fucking long. They got so much of a following that they can afford to make this kind of mistake and not go bankrupt. Yes. But to still have them in the same slot is a different story. So if they were the number 2 brand in the world and they dropped to number 20, that's a fucking hell of a statement that we can say now you're the number 20 brand in the world instead of number 2. And that's how you affect change, because of change to those type of people is in their wallet and their bank accounts. And now we could say, instead of you making $1 billion this year, you're going to make 250 million. You're still going to make money, but you're not going to make nowhere near what you made. And now you know that we're serious about, don't play with us.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
I get it. I totally get it.
That's all I'm saying.
And from I was going to ask you, I was talking about experimentation, Maggie. I was going to ask you about that. Was there one area or one time that you were glad, like what experiment went best for you, right? Because you know what I'm saying, for marketing, you want to get ideas from everywhere. Was there one idea, one story they could share? You was like, thank God I listened to this person, or thank God this idea came through and it was a huge success?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we worked together at the Hootsuite for a couple of years. And, one of the things that was really important as part of the rebrand or the refresh that we did was to bring people into that's possible. I'm just a one-trick pony because it's a similar mission I have for ABC Fitness, but have people feel seen that feel invisible, right? Like that was really, really important if we're going to do this, that social's for everyone, right? Social isn't just for, influencers and operators, that there's lots of different ways to interact with it. And I think one of the pieces that we went kind of silly, but silly with a message, like silly with an angle. And we had one of our principal assets in all of that was we were in a soundstage in Brooklyn, and we did all these really cool kind of hyper surreal photography shots, right? So stuff like somebody doing social with the ice cream like melting in their cone and going everywhere, and there was all these really beautiful images, and people got so into the color palette that in what we were doing that they showed up on their own with their hair dyed in like saffron, which was one of our principal colors, right? And there was a moment where we were filming Blair St. Clair, who was on RuPaul's Drag Race, and we knew that there were going to be some people that are going to be upset by some of the choices that we were making. But what we did was we were inclusive, right? So we had Blair, and we had, people of color, and we had, people that were from the LGBT community. We had people that were, straight white guy, like literally like that. We aren't actually about trying to say that one person is demonized and the rest are okay. And I think the reward and all of that was that we actually won a Transform Award. We won agency awards that typically don't go to they don't go to in-house creative teams. And we worked with a phenomenal brand strategy agency on it, Profit. Like they're unbelievable. We had an incredible experience with them. And then we took it in and we made it our own. And I think that was a piece that we took some risks and they worked, right? And the highest performing asset at the time was that Blair St. Clair piece, right? And it was gorgeous. And I remember being on that stage in Brooklyn, and there was a moment when they put the camera on her and everything was quiet. You could have heard a pin drop. It was you felt the whole soundstage move in. And it was just like, oh, we're experiencing something really incredible right now. And it was like everybody acknowledged and felt the moment at the same time. It was, it was the CMO. You don't get to go out in the field very much. And the creative director, Billy, he's like, you have to come. I know you're busy, but you have to come. You have to come experience this. You have to come, even if you just come for a day. And he was right. It was an incredible experience. And just to be there and feel that moment with everyone, I'll never forget it. It was a risky move, but it was a risky move that paid off. And it also, everybody was really proud to be in that work. We were proud to be part of visibility. We were proud to be part of inclusion. And we were proud to be part of inclusion in a way that was truly, inclusive. And so that's probably one of my favorite experiences. I know there's more coming. I know there's more coming, but that's one of them that comes to mind really consistently for me.
How do you choose the right agency to get that vision to come to life? So when you do the pitches, like what are some of the things you're looking for as a CMO?
You can't just choose an agency just because they're going to do something cool, right? You can't just go to who's sexy and who's interesting and who if you're not going to drive a brand refresh that reflects the ambitions of the business, like the brand strategy should reflect the business strategy. Like, let's not run away from the fact that it is also our job to make sure that we're profitable, right? Like, because without making money, you don't get to go innovate. You don't get to try new things. You don't get to really push the envelope. You're not going to be in the innovative conversations in the space. And so when you choose a brand strategy agency, you need to be talking to people that really understand how the business makes money, how the business functions. You have to have, people that you recognize that they're doing 360 stakeholder analysis. So are they thinking about what, your swim lane is from a talk track perspective for your investors and also for your people, like your employer branding strategy. And, for your, if you have stockholders, like whatever those things are, it should be a holistic approach. And the richest insights don't just come from a quantitative methodology. They come from qualitative conversations, like really letting people talk.
Maggie, don't you be using those 3-4 syllable words on
onomatopoeia. I'm using my safe word right now. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. How many times do I have to say onomatopoeia?
Hillary.
No. Safe word.
My God. I love it. She's right though.
Yeah.
Cuzzo, she's right.
Absolutely.
When you write, you write.
Thank you.
That's it. That's
Felt
all I
good.
can say. When you
Felt
write,
good.
you write. No, Maggie, when you're right, you're right. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter. And that's what I keep telling people. I think we get blinded by the fucking magic trick, right? Watch the shiny shit in front of your face, but you don't watch what's really going on behind your back.
Right.
Certain conversations need to be had. And they need to be had in a certain way so that we all understand what we need to do to move forward. So when you're right, you're right. That's it. Doesn't matter who says the message, right? Doesn't matter where the message comes from. The right message is the right message. And that was the right message. That's exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I also think it's important, there was a period of time where I felt like I had to choose between doing nonprofit work and corporate work.
Okay.
And I actually think creating the space to do both is better, because I don't know how you can consistently check your privilege and really continually be introspective if everything is just sort of managed in your life, right? And I'm continually reminded in the work that I get to do at SafePlace in the community that's there, and you too have experienced it. It's just incredible work. It's incredible work, and we work with the queer asylum seeker and refugee community around the world, and I think that work makes me better at marketing. And I think doing work with that group, and interestingly enough, the brand agency that I worked with at Hootsuite Profit, they came in and did a pro bono rebrand for us through their impact arm for SafePlace, because even in that arena with those design professionals, they wanted to do something that really mattered and that was higher order. And I think when you can bring the things that feel like your calling into your work and it works together, there's just so much richness. And, I've stopped trying to compartmentalize everything, because I actually think the SafePlace conversation becomes a really interesting marketing conversation. And it'd be like, there's so many different ways to do it. Like community building also needs to happen in the NGO world. Build a donor community. Don't just ask people for money.
Yeah.
Build some sense of shared purpose. And I think all of that, if we can get into better conversations and not just be, in the business of tragedy porn to give people to make a donation, that's where we go. Like what we really focus on, I work really closely with the executive director on everything sort of messaging. You guys have met Rachel. Yeah. And, I think what's been really telling for us is the feedback we get all the time that, we're not in the tragedy porn business. And what we focus on is all of the queer joy that's possible on the other side of struggle. And that, resilience positions you for power. Resilience positions you for being able to be in rooms that you never thought you could be in, because these are people that have figured out how to survive under the most unimaginable conditions and having gone through extreme trauma, and they come through it, and they're some of the most badass people you've ever met.
Message.
I love Maggie.
Oh, real.
I love Maggie.
We had Nadine.
I love you too.
We had Nadine on the last week. She's actually one of the lead creatives at WPP. So she's been there, won a bunch of con awards, a bunch of awards, shorties, Effies, you name them. And she was telling us about when she was a foster kid at 6 years old. And some of the things that she told us in that story, it was such a heartfelt story. Like, you never know what somebody has to go through to reach to where they are. And that's why I wanted to create More Than a Title, because I always felt that. I'm like, we've been through so much stuff coming from where we're from, but I wouldn't even be able to get in the door. And why is that? If you give me the opportunity, I can show you, right? Like, why is that, right? I could do SEO, I could do marketing. Who's to say it couldn't be a blended sales and marketing role? Why don't we just create one?
Right. Well,
right.
It's like trauma's not relative. It's not relative. Yeah. Like we can, I get it. I mean, I was taking a couple of the Dream Academy courses last year, which is we have two programs. And, part of that is you talk about the first time you felt othered, or different times where you felt othered. And I realized that even though I'd been doing the work for a while, the reason that I was doing the work was in me, but I wasn't connected to it in the way that it felt very obvious to me. Yeah. And I found myself telling stories that I hadn't ever told. And what's really interesting about, things that like shame, when you start talking about it, it loses its power.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. It no longer has a hold over you. And, I realize that part of the reason that the work is so important is that I've felt unsafe. And when I was telling my story, and, there are people that tell just unbelievable stories, right? Like unbelievable stories. And I've been fortunate to be the receiver of those stories. And, I was telling mine, and I could feel this internal struggle of like, oh God, my story's really not it doesn't rate. You know, it's not as scary as what some of these folks have come through. And I learned from that community that struggle, pain is pain, fellowship is fellowship, and you know, the community is here for everybody, and not to allow, you know, these stories that you tell yourself to be the thing that holds you back from what's on the other side of that struggle.
Message.
Listen, hit CEOs. Listen up, CEOs. I'm a CEO. I'm talking to all the CEOs, C-suite individuals. I don't know what kind of fucking coffee you drink. I don't know what kind of fucking lattes y'all drinking. But let me just give you the basic formula that y'all seem to be missing here. People are emotional. A lot of their decisions are based on their emotional being in that moment. People are emotional eaters. People are emotional shoppers. They use shop therapy, etc., etc. If a person, any person, loves your brand already for whatever reason, but you connect to them on an emotional level and show them that your brand supports them as people, do you think that they would spend less or spend more? I don't have a fucking master's, and that's the most basic common sense thing that I don't understand why you guys, all these big brands, are missing. Talk to the people, treat people like people. Treat people like people. Doesn't matter black, brown, green, or orange, motherfucker. Doesn't matter sexual orientation. Treat a person like a person. Treat a person like they matter. Show them that they are important to you, and your fucking bottom line will skyrocket.
Absolutely.
It will skyrocket. Maggie, it blows my mind that all of these super smart, you got all these fucking degrees. You're like Kanye's father. You so thirsty for degrees. You took my degree and put it on your fucking wall. All these super smart people are missing the most basic thing. Treat a person like a person. Connect with them. Show them that they actually matter. And you will be surprised at the support. Not only will they buy your brand, they'll champion your brand. They'll talk about your brand. You understand what I'm saying? They'll defend your brand. They'll do everything that you want them to do, and you will build this indestructible community of people of support foundationally, but you're not doing it.
That's a fact. We preach and teach that all the time, right? When we talk about employee advocacy, when we was at Hootsuite, Maggie, people was like, yeah, how come, we can't, we want to get people to have their own brand, but then how are you? Why, if they were really truly proud of the brand, they would be screaming it to the mountaintop.
There it is. There it is.
They would be screaming it to the mountaintop. So what is your relationship with your employer and your employees, right? Can I feel safe? Like I felt safe. I could reach out to Mag. I'm outside. I'm sitting there singing your praises everywhere, all over social, right? We're having conversations offline, online, all that stuff. But why is everybody else? Because no, everybody else had that same relationship with the brand. It's just a 9 to 5 to me. It's just this, right? Because I don't feel seen. I don't feel heard, right? Don't feel like I got a community. We got an ERG, but what is really the ERG? What is this? You know what I mean?
Well, don't you think too many people start talking before they've ever taken a moment to listen? Like, I just feel like active listening has been such it's a lost art. Are you
at the same time
customers, right? Like, how do you develop that sense of empathy if you're not listening? I think too many companies are just in a hurry to say something.
There it is.
And sell something.
And sell something. And what they need to be doing is really looking at how they're listening. How are they going to actually show up with solutions for their customers? It's like when somebody comes in and they just start selling you something and they don't even know what you do. They don't know your name. They don't know, right? Like that's the immediate turnoff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Immediate turnoff. Like
I'm going to bring up one brand.
People I've ever worked with get me to buy the product on my own.
Yeah. I'm going to bring up one brand that does this, and everybody I've spoken to has talked about one aspect above anything else. I'm going to talk about Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson's fucking customer service, their follow-up, the way they treat their fucking customers. That is the number one thing that sells Harley Davidsons, not the fucking motorcycle, not the fact that they spend billions of dollars engineering their motorcycles, designing. They got facilities that are fucking stated. Nobody talks about that shit. You know what everybody talks about? Harley Davidson's customer service, how they call you and check up on you. Hey, is your bike all right? Do you need to bring it in for a servicing? Do you fucking need anything? Their customer service is number one. And you know what everybody talks about? because you're treating me as if I am a fucking human being and not this piece of paper or this Bitcoin or whatever currency I'm using to buy your product. The customer service, the way that you're making me feel like a human being.
And you can be simple too. I remember I bought a shirt online from a brand. I can't forgive me for not remembering the brand. It was like 3 years ago. I had a handwritten note in the shirt. Said, "Thank you, Jarrett, for purchasing this. This is your first time buyer, man. We really appreciate you." It means a lot. Handwritten note with the shirt meant that I ordered 4 more.
See, Maggie, look what he just said. He didn't even say he liked the shirt. He didn't even say it was the most softest shirt he ever wore. It didn't fade. It didn't shrink. He didn't say none of that. Based on how they made him feel emotionally, that you care about me, he bought 4 more shirts.
But when somebody does something like that, it makes you evaluate your relationship with every other brand.
It is. Say it again. Say it again, Cuzzo. Say it again.
It makes you reevaluate your relationship with every other brand. So now if I'm buying shirts at Nike, damn, Nike, why don't you? I know you're a big brand, but why don't you do something for me? Okay, Pepsi, I just got a 2-liter today. I know it's not healthy, but why the hell I should get something, right? A free 2-liter.
Well, really. But all you guys are really saying is it all comes back to Maya Angelou.
Yes.
People won't remember what you said. They won't. I don't know if I'm going to get it quite right. They won't remember what you said, and they won't remember what you did, but they'll remember the way you made them feel.
Message.
That's it. And I wanted to go back because I don't want to go too far, man. Because privilege, but I'm also curious if you ever felt bias in the corporate place because you said you felt unsafe.
Have I ever felt biased as a queer woman?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No. I would love to hear that answer.
Did you come out? Why did you tell people in the organization? Is it hard for you to get say as a female woman who is queer in a male-dominated industry? Like, what is your experience?
I would love to hear that.
Sure. I mean,
great question, Cuzzo.
There's a lot of different directions to go in with that. I would say early in my career, which is interesting because I think we're going through it again now. There was a big backlash to affirmative action, right? And so I was actually, there weren't a lot of women in the area of financial services that I was in. And I wasn't out at the very beginning of my career.
Okay.
Not within a few years, but I wasn't out at the beginning, at least not at work. And not really personally either, quite yet. And I remember feeling that I was already having to prove myself as a woman, that I didn't want people feeling like I got the job because I was being tokenized. And as a woman, that already would be an argument that a salty colleague would get if I got the job over them. So if you added LGBT to that, it's like, oh, well, she's just checking the DEI box. And so for me, I kind of ran from it because I really didn't want to be somebody that was perceived as getting something for any other reason than I was better qualified, worked harder, and knew better how to do the job. So that was a choice I made. So I just want to be really clear. That's a choice I made. Yeah. As I got into my career, and I, ended up, marrying a woman and came out. And so I didn't not talk about it, but I didn't lead with it necessarily. And I was, this was probably 13, 14 years ago. And I was pregnant with my son, and I was in a meeting, and I'll tell the high level version of this story, but
hold on. You pregnant with your son going to meet with third period. Let's go, Maggie. Story time.
So I went into this meeting, and there weren't any other. There was one other woman in the meeting who was more the earlier career professional, and somebody that I worked with for years. Point blank asked me, how did I get pregnant? Did I get somebody drunk and bring him home, or something?
Wow.
Like it was really offensive, right? It was really
inappropriate,
and it was at work, right? It was in a meeting, and at this point, I was a senior vice president. Right. So if somebody felt comfortable saying that to me, and I just looked over and I saw this woman's face, the other woman that was in the room, and I just looked back at them. So if you go through the fertility process in my community, if you want, you can get a lot of information about the donor. Like I know everything about the donor for our 2 kids. Right. And it's anonymous, but I know their whole medical workup. And I looked back at this gentleman and I said, I know more about the sperm in my body than your wife's ever going to know about yours.
Oh, I'm out of here. Chad, what we doing?
But
with a stinger.
Everything in my body. Well, but you know this, right? Like everything in my body just wanted to crawl under that table, right? Everything. And in that moment, I was like, I can't. Like I gotta fight this. And I looked over at this woman and I thought, I'm not gonna be quiet anymore. It was like I really view that as like my root moment as somebody that started to get louder about who they were. And I truly believe that there is a direct correlation between me being my more authentic self and doing my best work, because I was in graduate school at the time. Some really unpleasant things happened in graduate school around some of the cases we would study. And, you know, this was not that long ago, guys. Like I graduated in 2007, I think. So this was not that long ago. But I realized that I could either let it hurt me or I could try to keep it from hurting more and more and more people. And you know, it's interesting. I'm not saying things don't hurt me. I'm not saying that things don't hurt my feelings, but I actually find that one of the most rewarding experiences for me around this is I've had to navigate like this corporate world that's largely straight, you know, isn't as diverse as any of us would like it to be, but there are a lot of incredible allies out there. Incredible. And so a lot of, you know, what we do, I mean, you know, this organization that I work with is a fairly niche issue. A lot of our most passionate supporters and ambassadors, they're allies, right? Because they know somebody that's LGBT or they have a, you know, an experience. And I think, you know, that experience of being in a world that was so different from who I was helped me understand better how to communicate with lots of different kinds of people and how to bring them into a story and how not to other them. And it was lonely and isolating at times. So I don't know that I'm prescribing this path for anybody. There were moments of really feeling like I was out there on an island by myself going into work every day. But it's helped me arrive at a place where I feel like I can do the most good. And I continually talk to people who, you know, they speak up now and they wouldn't have before. Or, you know, I did something at an event and I shut something down that was really sexist. And I found out secondhand that somebody told that story when they were in graduate school. And, you know, there's all these ways that you can stand up. And it doesn't always look like fire, and it's not always loud, and it's not always bombastic. Sometimes it's just doing the right thing, and sometimes you can do it quietly. And I think that we have to let people be at the volume level that works for them, because not all of us are loud. I've had to learn to be an extrovert because I felt like I had to. Early in my career, you stuck me in a room with a spreadsheet or an Access database. I was so happy that, you know, I'm definitely an ambivert. I have introvert and extrovert, you know, characteristics, but I think this particular journey for me is how I landed here. It wouldn't work for everyone. And I think it's important that we try to have as many different voices and as many different dispositions in the fight as we can.
I just got one question to you, Cuzzo, to you, Maggie, because Cuzzo, you experienced this in a different aspect. I didn't experience this the way you experienced this. My one question is, why does it fucking matter? Why does it matter my sexual orientation? Why does it matter if I have braids or dreadlocks or curly hair? I'm just asking. On my resume, do you require me to put my sexual orientation? On my resume, do you actually inquire about the way I physically look? And the answer is no. You ask about my experience, my accreditations, my ability to do the job. So when a person turns to me and says, well, how did you conceive your kid? And I go, why does that even matter? Do I do my job here? Like, do I do my job here? Am I effective? Am I efficient at my job? If that's the answer, then nothing else should matter. And see, that's what I'm talking about, right?
They ask it now on resume. They ask it on job application.
What? Well, they ask what?
Orientation, they ask your ethnicity.
Do they really?
Yeah, they do.
I haven't. I'm gonna be honest with you, Cuzzo.
You don't have to answer it. You don't have to answer it.
No, I'm disconnected because I haven't filled out a job application.
I'm one of those people that feel like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Who's to say if I put I do not wish to answer that it goes into the I do not wish to answer bucket, and those are the people we don't call back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how that works. I don't know what the metric.
Maggie, my cousin has cut his hair for work. He has cut his hair. He has changed the way he's looked. He liked his hair. I had long braids like my cousin did. All my sons had long braids. My little brother played basketball at a collegiate level. He had to turn down a scholarship to a very prestigious Catholic.
Is that audio?
Yeah, his audio went.
Your audio is going fuzzy, bro. Something happened. I'm exhausted.
I don't know. I've been hearing that the whole time.
Yeah.
Off and on.
You're good now. You're good.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. My little brother played basketball like at a collegiate level for multiple colleges. But he had a scholarship to a very prestigious Catholic school. And one of the requirements to accept this scholarship at the time, he had long hair and braids, was you cannot come to this school with long hair and braids. You have to cut your hair. Think about this is a high school, right? Think about as a 13, 14-year-old kid that you're recruiting me for my physical talents, not even educationally, because this is not an academic scholarship. It is a sports scholarship. So you're recruiting me for my ability to perform on the court. But one of your prerequisites to me obtaining this scholarship for my education, for my mind, is my physical appearance. Imagine having to make that decision as a 13, 14-year-old child. Jarrett had to make that decision as a grown man. What I'm saying is, why do we have to make that decision when you're not hiring us on the basis of how we look? If that's the case, then why the fuck are we going to college, Maggie? Why are we raking up $100,000, $120,000, $140,000, $160,000 in student debt and credit card debt for the credit cards that we got while we were in college without any financial literacy? Why are we doing all of that if the only thing of your requirements is how the fuck I look? You understand what I'm saying? This is my problem with the industry today and the way that the world operates. Are you really hiring me for my attributes, for what I can do for the company, for what I can bring as an asset to the company, how I can make the company better? Or are you only hiring me or primarily hiring me for my physical attributes or my sexual orientation? Why does any of that matter?
It shouldn't. But here, so this company that I work with in London, okay, they're called Clu, and what they're doing, because everything that you're describing is spot on. It's bias, right? So the reason that I say who I am and the totality of what that means is, for me, I want people to know it's possible to be part of a historically excluded group and still make your way, to the upper levels of leadership. So
Maggie, that's the other podcast calling. Hold on. You got to get Maggie on your own. We're not referring you. No, sorry, the decline. I'm sorry, Maggie. They hear what you're saying and they calling us like, no, you got to get Maggie on your own. She's not your friend. She's our friend.
You guys promised you weren't live streaming this. You promised. But I think that's, for me, that's why I identify, right? I think it's important. I want people to know that it's possible, right? That, I'm just another person. And I just stuck to who I was and did the work. And I think that's why. But this company that I work with in London, Clu, what they're doing is they're disrupting the whole hiring process. So, resumes in so many ways have inherent bias in them. People make decisions based on that. That's why you're starting to see like non-visual interviewing processes come in place. There are people that don't even apply for jobs because they just presume that they're not qualified for it. And so they're actually disrupting both sides of the transaction. The company's coming in and saying, these are the things I need for the job. And then the candidate's not having a resume, but these are the things I can do. And then the algorithm actually matches. And they're putting tens of thousands of people to work, not only just from the LGBT community, but from the neurodiverse LGBT community. And you know what's interesting, guys? The employees are more loyal.
See?
More passionate about the brands. They come in and they learn and they figure out how to do the job really well. And these are people that we're keeping out of the market because of everything you just described. So you're 100% right. And we have to be better. And we have to find a way to be better. And we have to find a way to have that technology everywhere and not just in certain cases. Because you're right.
You know what you get with that? You get the employee that's not going to take their lunch break and walk outside and go take lunch. They're going to order something and do fucking work while they're eating at their desk. You're increasing productivity. See, this, again, CEOs, what the fuck is wrong? I don't know what college you went to, but clearly get a refund on your fucking education, because the common sense train, choo-choo, is skipping stops on you motherfuckers. This is what I'm talking about. These are the employees that you're talking about that's going to order lunch to their desk. and eat lunch while they're working. These are the employees that you're going to have to force to take their time for vacation because it's not going to roll over. And you're like, you have to take this time because it's not going to roll over. You're going to lose it. That's not going to take the vacations. You're going to get increased productivity, loyalty, right? Support for the brand, et cetera, et cetera. If your bottom line is increasing the brand's overall awareness and its bottom line, then that's the fucking employee that you want. But like you said, instead of supporting that, you're alienating that employee right there, making them feel like I shouldn't even apply for this job because I'm not going to get it. I don't feel like I'm qualified enough. That's the problem. That's the problem.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah, I don't want to. He kind of gave it up, but I'm not even gonna go that route.
Cuzzo, there's a study. There's a study on work and companies and people that take vacations. Did you know that? There's a study on this shit. There's a study on people that work and take vacations and people that don't work and the organizations that allow employees to take vacations and how they take and also lunch and how people take it. Why do you think this is by accident? I'm going to ask you, Maggie. Do you think this is by accident? Places like Google, LinkedIn, etc., that all of a sudden end up building cafeterias within the workspace. How about that? Building cafeterias with multiple food options within the workspace. How about that? Yeah, and not only that, the food is free. Yeah. Now you ain't even got to spend no money. The food is free. Right?
Truth.
Right? Talk some Jarrett.
Everything. Maggie, I've never seen a cafeteria like that.
Because I don't want to say you haven't been. Have you ever been to a Google office?
No. I have, but
okay,
not a long time. But I know.
Right, that's why. Google was the first to do that, Cuzzo. Yeah. I built the Google office. They were I want to say one of the first that I've known to do that. But why do you think? Did you think that they did that by accident? No, they did that because they understand that if we are providing food, nutrition, healthy options, everything that you could want, that means that statistically less people leave the building. If you don't leave the building, that means when you eat, possibility you might eat at your desk, increase your workflow. That shit is not by accident. They're not doing, companies of this magnitude do not make these kind of small mistakes. Again, we got to hold them accountable. They don't make these small mistakes. They know it's an algorithm. If I provide you the food, you might even eat faster and get back to work. You might even take your free meal because you like, yo, they giving me this free meal, free lattes, free coffee, whatever I want. I could take this back to my desk and keep working. Yeah, but you see what I'm saying?
That person to take the damn lunch and still go back to and not work. So it doesn't.
No. I'm not.
There's still no metric.
No, it is though. It is though.
It is. I know, but
it is though.
On that, bro. Like we on like this is.
I'm just saying that's not by mistake, right? So let's say like Google, Microsoft, they were the first ones to start this. Now LinkedIn is doing it. Now I bet you see another one doing it, and you know what it's going to become? The norm. You know why it's going to become the norm? Because people are going to see that the bottom line effectively, money-wise, the money that they're spending to provide this service is minor in what they're receiving and the productivity of the worker. And the emotional aspect is I don't have to go and spend. Maggie, we live in New York, right? Do you know how much a basic lunch is in fucking New York? Forget the fact of something healthy. Just a basic lunch is between $12 and $15 fucking dollars. Yeah. If you work 5 days a week, that's a number. You might spend almost $100 just in lunch. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, if I can save you this $100, you can eat all you want, because they don't stop you from going to multiple restaurants. You can eat all you want, and it's for free. You know what you feel? You feel valued. Oh shit, I ain't got to spend this money on lunch. Okay, I'm gonna get my lunch and I'm gonna do this and do that. The studies have shown that you're gonna go back to work sooner because you're not outside the building anymore. You might only be in the cafeteria 20 feet from your desk, 100 feet from your desk, instead of walking outside, taking the elevator, waiting for the you understand? It's a metric to that.
Not every brand is gonna be able to do that.
No. I'm not saying every brand. I'm saying major brands.
Bro, that's why they are what they are. Their margin versus per employee is super high, bro. It's super high, so they're able to do that. So guess what? Their metric could be totally off. I can still go back. You think I care about the extra $100 you said if I'm making $250 a year as a software engineer?
Yes.
Not really.
Not really. Hold on. If we talk about the human being aspect, maybe for you it might not matter, but for a lot of people, those small things, they matter. It means you care about me. It matters, bro.
Perks, bro. When you in tech, it perks.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've been doing this in Silicon Valley for a long time.
That's what I'm saying. They're just
like this. I mean, you would kind of get to like the like the FANG companies like Facebook, all
Right.
the Netflix, all of them, and they would compare sort of the cafeteria options, like who.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember going through. I went on some sort of CMO junket trip, and it was over a decade ago, and they were all providing these unbelievable lunches, like unbelievable lunches. But I've never worked at a company that provided them. If anything, I worked for a company that had stopped doing it because they were spending $30 million a year on food, and they just couldn't justify it anymore. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I just think there's a lot of different things that go into that, which, to your point, keeping people working is one of them. But I think the conversation is getting more and more interesting all the time with like return to work and COVID, and that's a whole other topic for another day.
When people feel like I'm trusted, I'm a human being, I could do what I need to do, as long as I perform what I need to perform, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Okay, but let's run with that. You followed that creed to a T. You did what you had to do, above and beyond. Not here, above and beyond. You was about to move your fucking family. You was about to move your entire fucking family, your immediate family, to another state that you have no family in, that you might not have no friends in, for your business. Uproot your kid, put them in a new school, new friend. Psychologically, it affected everybody in your family. You were willing to do that.
Okay, where are we going?
So what I'm saying to you is, look at the dedication that you were showing to a company versus the outcome that you got from it. What was the outcome that you got from it?
The outcome is I was dealing with some bullshit ass management. But
I'm asking,
you want this is what it is, right? Yes, I'm willing to do that. Yes, you know why I was willing to do that? Because I cared about the people, not actually the company. I cared about the people, bro. So like, if you want to let me tell the story, let me tell the story.
All right.
I'm going to do it, right? I went down there. I was being offered that because I wanted to see, like, why? Because 80% of that office in Atlanta where I was at was predominantly people that looked like me and people that were inspired and be like, yo, look, I want to work with you. I'm helping them close deals anyway. So I might as well be closer to them, right? So when I actually did that, cool. Went down there, did all that. It didn't work out because guess what? Why am I going to do all of that and I'm still not getting leadership type of conversation? Why would I do that?
Yeah, but it wasn't a decision that you said, let me stop this process. What I'm saying, it was the company itself.
No, I stopped the process. I stopped it. Thank God. Thank God. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's not like they said no, it's like me. No. Because when I went in the conversation, you know who the conversation was? It was like, look, I know this isn't my purpose. I'm doing this for the company. I'm doing it for the people. People are excited about the move. I come in the office, there's a whole brand new energy. And if you don't see that, and you don't want me to do that, and you're the person who's managing that office, you don't want that, I don't have to come. That's it. But that's the problem, right? And now that one person stopped what could have been super beneficial for the company. Maybe it would have been. Maybe it wouldn't have been. But that's the game, bro. That's the game. But what if they would have done would have made me even happy? Would have made me happy to be like, you notice, acknowledge me for what I'm doing. That would have made me happy, not a lunch.
I'm just saying, small.
And those are small things, bro. Like Maggie saying, I'm coming on the show, 3rd episode, that's major.
No, absolutely.
Right?
I'm just saying, remember when Maggie said, like, a text message goes a long way, bro. I'm just saying, I'm going back to the human being effect. Maybe everybody is different, and certain things that people hold to themselves as like what they value, how I value certain things are different. No doubt. I agree with you on that. All I'm saying is the small things carry a long way is what I'm saying, right? If a person, a lot of people are struggling, Maggie, a lot of people are struggling financially. If you can save me $150 on a lunch, I can use that money for something else pivotal that I need that money for. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
If you can help me out on something and say, okay, Maggie, you know what? You drive to work every day. We'll cover your parking expenses just in case. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. That's something different. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying those type of small things carry along major to people when it comes to their dedication to the company and what they're willing to do for the company. That's all I'm saying.
I get that. We know that, bro. But I'm not trying to own in on that for 20 minutes, bro. It's a good conversation.
We're not. It's not about.
We have, bro. I'm trying to change the topic. I'm to keep it funky, but we got to not own in on it, baby.
No, it's not about. Again, some things just require extra conversation, Jarrett. That's all. I understand. You know, we interviewing and this is a show, but certain things just require sometimes extra attention. That's all it is. You understand? It's not a black and white thing. It's not a. We have a certain amount of time. We have to hit a certain amount of topics. It's just certain things require a certain amount of extra attention because our listeners are going through this in real time. Remember, we're doing this for the culture, right? There are people right now that are experiencing this exact same scenario that we are talking about right now. That's all I'm saying. So sometimes certain situations require a little extra attention because our audience is going through it right now and they're looking for some type of direction on how they should handle it. That's all I'm saying. Like when Maggie said her story about she decided to come out when she decided to come out, there's somebody listening right now that hasn't come out. That's going to listen to Maggie and say, you know what, Maggie, she was absolutely right. Now I feel like it's my time. Or you know what I'm saying? Like,
I totally get that.
That's all I'm saying.
Us as interviewers, us as content and content creators, yes, it's also us to dial it back. That's the more powerful story. Is knowing which thing to hone in on. Which thing to hone in. They're both good topics.
Yeah, but how do you
I'm giving you my take, bro? I'm saying what you're saying.
I understand, but once again, if we say impact over metrics, and we can get off this. If we say impact over metrics, who are you to decide what's important to somebody else? We can't. How do you decide what's important to somebody else? You're only deciding what's important to you in the moment, but what's important to somebody else is different. That's all I'm saying. Everybody has different circumstances. That's all I'm saying.
And I'm saying we're dragging either one of them.
I mean, if you got a different question, go ahead. I'm just saying, like, I don't feel like we're dragging it.
I wanted to ask stuff about ABC.
Go ahead.
Yeah, whatever, bro. But like,
go.
You get it. People work harder. I get it. And I don't even know what to ask now, Maggie. But Maggie, like, I'm curious though. Let's talk about AI because you talk about AI is going to take a lot of jobs, right? I do want to know how you think that's going to affect your job 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What is the CMO?
I mean, gosh, I think the CMO job is always the topic of conversation. Always. I mean, people are always talking about the CMO, the death of the CMO, the 10 years of CMOs, and they're either getting longer or they're getting shorter, or they no longer have a CMO, or now the CMO is emergent. I mean, I think you could find a study to support any one of those different claims. I think in terms of, the CMO role is one that's hard to pin down because there's so many different things that the CMO covers, right? That they're covering strategy and they're covering commercial outcomes and they're covering, how to show up in the market and brand and all. And they also tend to be like, chief mediation officers between other areas of the C-suite. And you have to be, conversant on finance and a lot of these other areas of the practice, if you will. And so I think for CMOs that are really growth oriented and that continue to look at what's coming in the market and that have the humility to hire people smarter than them that can keep up with everything that's happening and changing in marketing in the micro moments that it's changing, those are going to be the people that are going to survive. I don't think it's going to come down to like the title or not the title. It's going to come down to leadership. Right. And I think that, for people to be and have, thriving careers, have you focused on leadership or just focused on an area of tactical capability? And but there's not a bad answer to that. There just isn't. But like, are you curious? Are you a learner? And are you humble enough to say, I need a lot of reverse mentoring to keep up with what's going on in marketing? I hire people smarter than me all the time. Right? Like how do you grow if you just create an echo chamber around yourself? And so, I think that what's going to happen with AI is going to be similar in that, they talked about this years ago. I was at a conference years ago and they said, well, AI is going to take all these jobs and all of these things are going to happen. You still have to know how to use it. You still have to know how to deploy it. You still have to know how to train it. I still think that, there are going to be other jobs that will emerge for the ones that get subtracted. And I think we keep learning this over and over and over and over again. And it's just going to be another revolution. Like, so we're in the AI revolution right now, right? You have the industrial revolution, you have the computer revolution. It's the newest form of technology. It may be the most explosive. It may have a bigger blast radius, potentially. I think we're still learning that. But I think for marketers, if you're somebody that really is strong at communicating and, like I said, listening and understanding what customers need, it's really hard to have code just simply like Control C, Control V that.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same reason that you can tell. We've talked about this before, Jarrett. Like, you could tell somebody that, is involved in their social media strategy and somebody that's not. Yeah. You can just tell. Right? Like, you can smell it. Like, it's instinctual. And I think it's going to be the same thing with AI. I think that the people that do it well are going to treat it as supplemental. They're going to treat it as something that helps to enrich, to drive a better hyper-personalized experience. It isn't just going to be looking to replace. It's going to be it's going to be people that are looking to build new, that are being additive in their approach. That's my take on it.
Yeah, that's definitely. I think there's going to be more roles and stuff. Like, definitely one subtractive, but being tactical. Who's going to know how to use the AI to be more effective to do 4 or 5 jobs versus 1?
That's right.
That's what it's going to be. Same thing we're doing right now with AI, right? But I hate to see. I know you see the post where even I got to change that shit on YouTube. It delves deep and stuff like that. Like, when it's AI, I got to change that. But you got, like you said, use that as a supplement. Build on what you guys are doing. Hey, a lot of people are scared of AI. Depending on what industry you're in tech, learn it, know how to implement it, know how to draw a real business outcome. Use it, and then you'll be all right.
Right. Or, get people around you that know how to do it really well and, have them train you on how to do it. Right. If it's daunting, like, surround yourself with people that know more than you do. I think it's a proven strategy.
Yeah. And what's the biggest challenge? Coming into ABC, right? What's the biggest challenge that you're facing coming into ABC? Like, what was that conversation during the interview process? When they're
I don't mean to do sort of like the corporate repositioning, but I think it's more of an opportunity than it is a challenge. Truly. Okay. Like, I think that ABC, we have all of this technical prowess in things that helped us build, right? So payment processing and the number of, members that we have in our overall community through our customers. And we have more data probably than most other fitness companies in the world, if not the most data. And so we have this ability to really navigate and direct a conversation around wellness to help people live their best lives. That, to me, is the biggest opportunity at ABC. I think it's ours to lose. And I think it's going to be about, having the right partnerships at the right time, telling the right stories to the right people, and being inclusive and thoughtful in a way that feels authentic and genuine in the market. I think that's the biggest opportunity. But, the other piece of this is you really have to be surrounded by people that understand that you can't build a brand overnight. It just isn't how it works, right? Brands are built through millions of micro interactions and intelligent investments and the right partnerships and, companies showing up over and over and over again consistently. And so I think you really have to test that when you're interviewing and when you're going through that process to say, do people really expect that, we can have a world recognized brand within 6 months? No, not unless you're going to throw hundreds of millions of dollars at it. And actually, when you do that,
you can blow it out.
You're going to blow it out, right? And even if you do, though, like, is there any substance underneath all that flash?
But then it always makes me think, like, what is the metric? So if you know that brands take 6 months, 12 months, let's say 24 months, what are the metrics or the benchmarks that you have to reach to show them?
I think it depends on you. I think it depends on like what your industry is, right? Like, are you driving more demos? Are you driving more views to your website? Are you getting more citations in press? Like, and like media impressions, while I think there's a lot of flaws with the way that media equivalency is calculated, you can just look at the activity spikes. You can look at whether sentiment is skewing positively or negatively. Are people actually talking about your brand for you? Has ambassadorship increased? Are more people mentioning what you do? I think there's lots of different ways to come at it through using like the right MarTech stack too, so that you can do it at scale.
Yeah. I got more questions. Cause you want to jump in?
I got you on the road, guy. Yeah. Like I said, my questions are more based on the humanity aspect of the business dealings with the people. I mean, I understand we can talk business and things of that nature, and that's always good information. But at the end of the day, who are we trying to reach? If we're trying to reach the people, then my thing is we have to make the people understand why. Why should they support a brand? Plain and simple. Doesn't matter what brand, Key Food, Walmart, it doesn't matter. Why should they support that brand? Yes, we all have to do what? Eat, sleep, which is shelter, clothe ourselves and things of that nature, right? It's a celebration, bitches. But you cannot ignore the disconnect that people feel towards the brand itself. This is why companies have to do more research in connecting to the people themselves. That's you understand? So my questions are all going to be based off of that, right? Questions on how do we connect better, right? How do we get the message from a big brand? As it doesn't matter what big brand, it doesn't matter, right? How do we get the message that yes, we have to fulfill our bottom line, because people aren't dumb. If Walmart doesn't make money, Walmart's the biggest, let's say, grocery chain out, right? Discount grocery chain. But if Walmart doesn't make money on a business aspect, then they can no longer exist. Plain and simple, right? Yeah. So they have to. So I think everybody understands that. But when people hear about Walmart is $1 billion company, but they're doing things like taking people off the schedule where they're supposed to work 40 hours, but they don't let them work 40 hours so that they don't get a certain amount of benefits for medical and something for their family. People have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. Like that's my message to all of this, right? It's not about we're saying to brands, we don't want you to make money. That's not what we're saying. The message that we're saying is treat us like human beings. Give us a decent living wage. Why should we be making $7 an hour and you're making billions of fucking dollars when we can't survive off of? We can't even use the money that we make to even shop at this store or patronize this whatever brand it is, because we don't even have enough money to make sure that our household, our rent, our basic necessities are met. So that's my message to all of this, right? How do brands connect to the individual and say, we care about you as an individual? Because really and truly, the community is what drives the brand, Maggie. You know what the community is that drives luxury brands? Hip hop. That is the community that drives luxury brands. Hip hop. I don't care about rock. I don't care about country. I'm not saying y'all don't make money. Hip hop drives luxuries. Mm-hmm. If the top hip hop artist, any artist, Kendrick Lamar, it doesn't matter. If they say, I'm in the Mercedes and I only drive Mercedes, you know what happens to Mercedes stock? Goes through the fucking roof. When Jay-Z said, I'm in a 4.6, what's the 4.0? You know what that did for Range Rover stock? Do you know what that did for anybody that went to buy a Range Rover 4.0? I got to have the 4.6. Yeah. This is all I'm saying, right? It's the reconnection, because I feel like it's a disconnection. And I'm not angry. I understand business is used to doing business a certain way because business, right, has a model that they've been following from God knows how long. What I'm saying is this is a new day. This is a new era. This is a new society with new wants and new needs. How do we bridge that gap between these old existing brands and the new society and we find harmony between those two, where the person can say, I feel comfortable spending my dollar here?
Yeah, but I mean, I think it comes back to something that I was saying earlier, which is like, what mechanisms do you have set up in your company for listening? So, right, hip hop drives luxury brands. So that's where you're going to put your marketing dollar, right? You're going to make sure that you're doing things that resonate in that community. But the only way to know you're doing that is if you're listening. And you've
there it is.
Up. Like, what are the tools? What's the tech that you have to take that in to, aggregate it and synthesize it and teach you what you need to know to be continually putting things in the market that are going to resonate. And I think, so some of that is really understanding your ideal customer profile. And that might not just be the buyer. It might be who influences the buyer. Like, I think buying behavior has become so much more idiosyncratic because we moved from being out in the world to being taken from the world for 2 years, right? So we had to do everything through this like digital body language and understanding how brands were going to show up. And then, they put all this money in their digital footprint and then they took it out of their bricks and mortars. And you're seeing all this trading off going on between like e-commerce and, traditional bricks and mortar stores. And I think there's a lot of lessons for us in that, which is if you're not listening and you're not taking in enough data points, how do you even know if you're targeting the right folks? So maybe they're not going to be the ones that are constantly buying your product, but if they buy one, 50,000 people over here are going to buy it. So like, what are the network effects of your influencer strategy? I think
Yes.
is another piece that really comes from being having a strong listening culture.
Yes. What's the purpose of using a celebrity or influencer, Maggie? I'm asking you. Gatorade was already Gatorade before Michael Jordan. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Sure.
Gatorade was already Gatorade before Michael Jordan. Hanes was already Hanes before Michael Jordan. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So why use Michael Jordan? I don't know the numbers of how many NBA players are actively always in the NBA at one time, but let's just call it hundreds of players and others that are superstars and any other person that you could have used to represent your brand. Why Michael Jordan? You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Again, that was thought out. That was, why do we want him? What does he represent? Who's the target audience? What message is this going to portray? Who wants to be Michael Jordan? Who wants to be like Michael Jordan? Who wants to be with Michael Jordan? All of these things come into play in the buying profile, right?
Yeah. I mean, hey, I love the Michael Jordan example as a kid who grew up in Chicago during the Bulls era. So yeah, I mean, and the reason is that people, in that, I would imagine at least part of that brief was, we want to show people what excellence looks like. And I want a draft on that. I want to get some level of access to that, right? If he's wearing Hanes, maybe I can be excellent too, right? And I think that's, there's a version of that. All social has done is just sort of shrunk the distance between the brand and the buyer. Right? And it's created more influencer strategies. I mean, a lot of what we talked about when I was in the media world was, don't go hire the most expensive celebrity. Find somebody that actually drives your buyer's behavior. And it could be a micro influencer. You can actually do much better going to somebody with 1,000 followers, but those 1,000 followers are all going to go out and buy something, than you are going to somebody with 1 million followers. 10 people will buy it because they just don't. They don't resonate with that celebrity, right? So
me and Cuzzo talked about this all the time. We talk about this all the time. We had a couple of guests on the show that we've addressed this with all the time. Why do you want me, Maggie? Right? Why do you want me? Right? Yeah, you can go get Joe Schmo with 10 million followers. Remember, Cuzzo, we talked about this, right, Cuzzo? Remember, you can go get Joe Schmo with 10 million followers, ABCD, but he's not going to give you what I give you. What I give you is trust. What I give you is integrity. What you see, that's a big difference. It's a big difference.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Exactly right.
Well, curious. So if there's a fitness influencer right now that want to get in touch with ABC Fitness, like what are some things that you guys are looking for out of influencers?
I think for us, where we really look at the fitness influencing is in our trainerized model, which is like the tech that trainers use to actually communicate with and create, an ongoing relationship with their customers. Yep. And so, it can look like a lot of different, I can't really give you a list because some of that's, some of those are things that we're actually currently, proprietary. So things that we're looking at. But, I think that what we're more focused on than just the influencer strategy is how to make the conversation more expansive. How do we not just be talking about fitness? How do we talk about wellness? And how do more people feel welcome into wellness, right? Yes. Like fitness is only one component of wellness, right? Traditional fitness anyway. And so where we're spending our time is how are we going to get at those people? How are we going to have more people feel seen with what we put into the universe? How are we going to have more people feel seen with our video properties and our photography properties and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because there's so many different ways to be involved with sport and with wellness and with mindfulness. And so how do we put the right things in front of the right eyeballs in the channel they want to receive it at the right time?
Message.
That's the one-on-one. But I know you got a jet too soon, Maggie. But just want to say, first of all, we're gonna definitely get you back on again. Always open invite, always a great time. Just thank you for being you, Maggie. Like real talk. Like, thank you for being a real person. Like I know what it did in my career, seeing somebody like you being able to have conversation with you off camera. I remember being pissed off. You like, Jay, stay in there, Jarrett, you got this. Like I remember just times venting to you. Just thank you for being that for me. Real talk. So to have you on our platform, have you here with Cuzzo, everything that you're doing, I can't wait to see what you do with ABC Fitness. And we rocking with you. We love you and we appreciate you for real.
Well, I love you back and thank you for everything that you've done for me. You've been an incredible friend and I got to meet your cousin out of this too. So now you're my friend. So thank you both. Thank you.
I just got one last question for you, Maggie. you're doing all of this pouring into the community and things of that nature, and you're working with these companies and stuff like that. What would you ultimately, what is Maggie's ultimate goal for herself? Like, where would you ultimately like to see yourself, right? And what would you ultimately like to be doing when you're ready to walk away from this work thing altogether, right? And you're like, listen, I've done this. Now it's time to just focus on family and myself, and I'm done. What does that look like?
That's a great question. I don't think it's a question that I always have the same answer to twice.
Okay.
To be honest, I think things change. So
okay.
When I left my last role before this, I was pretty burned out. I'd been going at it hard for a better part of 5 years, and I was exhausted, and I couldn't figure out how to get out from under that. And, I took a few months just to travel and take a break and see people I hadn't seen in years. And it was restorative in many ways, like more spiritually than anything. And then I got really involved in wellness, and I have lost a lot of weight and gotten very fit again. And I used to be a fit person, but I got really fit over the last 18 months and didn't do it through diet. I didn't, and no judgment to anybody that does it whichever way they want, but I always found that to be restrictive. And then if I lost the weight or I got fit, then it would just come back on, because these things, I made a real commitment to just changing the way I viewed food, changing the way I viewed activity, changing the way I viewed, like, having some level of commitment to, like, me in a portion of the day, before I was getting the kids, through their homework or whatever it was that we needed to do. So, I think for me, I also realized coming back into this that I missed being a leader inside of a corporate environment. Like, I missed it. I missed what that is. I missed my craft. I missed being in marketing, because it turns out I don't do sabbaticals very well. But within a few months of being on a sabbatical, I was on a publicly traded company board that I kept, and then I was a board chair for an NGO. So I like work. It's not about running away from work. I think that it's about finding ways that you can feed yourself spiritually and intellectually, and honor the other things in your life that make those two things work and matter. And, that's my kids, that's my family, it's my friends. My friends are so important to me. And all of that, like the work and the NGO work, like, if I can integrate those things, which is what I'm doing with SafePlace, as you both know, because you've both been drafted, that's the best day, right? When I'm doing meaningful work with people that I love for something that I actually don't get any personal gain from it, but I experience a tremendous amount of fulfillment.
Message.
I love it.
That's it.
That's the real.
I love it.
That's what we do.
I've never had a plan, and it's served me really well. And I think if you are too stringent and too strict about your plans, you miss a lot of opportunities.
Live in the moment. You gotta live in the moment and enjoy the moment.
What Jeff Bezos saying, flexible in the details, stringy on the vision, right? Like, it is what it is. This is where we go on the details. I'll tell you right now, Maggie, if we thought we'd had 100 episodes this year, and who, what, and when, and how we were going to do it, no plan.
Yeah.
No plan. It's just when you put it there, you put a target, you just work towards it, chip away, brick by brick, build every single day. It's not easy. It's a lot of days. It's just like, and you know it too, Maggie.
You stay open. Strong opinions loosely held, right? Stay open.
That's it.
Always be willing to learn.
I want to say thank you, Maggie. I missed the first episode. Yeah. I missed the first interview. I met you in person first, but I missed the first interview. So I'm so honored to be able to be a part of this interview. I truly enjoyed it. And I get to say that I know you as a person. So I know the things that you're saying, you personify in real life, because I've experienced that in real life. So I want to say thank you for that. And I know that people that work for you and work with you, if I experience that in a short time of only meeting you once or twice and 3 times in a short period of time, people that get a chance to experience you on a day-to-day basis get a chance to absorb this type of energy every single day. So I just want to say thank you for being you unapologetically. Yeah, because we need that in this world. We need that in this world, because there's only one Maggie. There can never be two, right? And the things that you're going to bring to this world and offer to this world and give to this world, nobody else is going to be able to do, because your gifts are your gifts alone. So I just want to, say thank you for the More Than a Title show. And, you know, just for embracing your gifts and embracing who you are and saying, world, this is me, take it or leave it.
Thank you. I feel very seen right now. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Cuzzo, what we got?
Love. We got H2O on Thursday. I'm gonna have the swollen. I might have the dental surgery. I might be in like this on y'all, but I'm still podding. And then next week we got True Pettigrew, Chief Diversity Officer for the Minnesota Timberwolves, y'all. He's a great dude. He's a beast. He has a great book out right now. We're gonna talk about that. Then we got Dennis McDonald on the 12th. You know, the star of Bad Boys, Reggie, coming through, bringing them in person. So we'll be there in Parkchester. And then after that, we've got Chris Pia, who's a CEO Community Media. Then we got Islam Global Vice President of Coca-Cola. And we got a special 99th episode on the 19th. And then we're going to do a Kai Cenat style 100th episode, man. Me and Cuz already talked about it. We might have to do a stream-a-thon or some shit. And we're going to have a good time. Whatever happens.
Let Mika get the den dues ready. We're going to need extra den dues. Extra den dues.
With that said, you already know, man. We love y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Wait, before we get out of here, you know, we got to end it the right way. We got to end it the right way. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another phenomenal episode of More Than a Title. Maggie came through. She told you her story. She's been on the podcast before. She's a friend of the show. And everything that she's told you that she's doing, from the way her family raised her to what they're doing to what she's doing, and she's showing you that the dream is free.
But the hustle is always sold separately, y'all. We're going to see y'all's More Than a Title.
What you know about me? Seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me? I've done it all, just want it